Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Zeb from Zed Outdoors and I hope you're having an awesome day. So today I've come back to see a dear friend of mine and talented green woodworker, Ali Asadi of Carving and Turning. Ali, how are you doing?
Good to see you, Zed.
You too as well, man. Thank you for having me back in your beautiful workshop. So Ali has previously appeared on my channel. If you're not familiar with Ali's work, Ali is now a professional full-time green woodworker specializing in pole lathe turning, turning things like bowls, cups, etc. He's very well respected with the work that he does. Now, in the previous video that I filmed with Ali during his visit down to see him at his beautiful workshop that he has in Stevenage, which is just a little bit outside London, what we did was we filmed a detailed video from start to finish on Ali's process for turning a wooden plate on a pole lathe. He literally started from a raw piece of wood all the way to a finished product. Now, on his return back to see Ali, what we're going to be doing is looking at another project in the same vein. And what we're going to be looking at is an end grain cup. Now, don't worry, we are going to have a look at a close-up in a moment, and we're going to look actually at a few examples of Ali's cups that he has turned. Now, a few quick housekeeping things to get out the way before we begin with the meat and bones of this video. Now, number one, as you can see, this is a very long video. That's because Ali is going to be covering the entire process, literally starting from a raw piece of wood all the way to a finished product that you can use. Now, to help facilitate that, what we have done is broken this video down into different chapters. Now, if you hover along the timestamps of this video, you can see all the different sections marked out. Those sections are also listed below in the description just below this video. Now, YouTube has a very cool feature. If you click on the times on the left-hand side, the video will jump straight to that section. The reason why that's a huge help is as you move forward, you can use this video as a training resource. And instead of manually having to scroll through to find the section that you want, you can just look in the description down below, look at all the sections marked out, click on the time, and then YouTube will automatically take you to that section. What I'm also going to do is put a link below to the previous video that I filmed with Ali. Highly recommend you go check that out. Now, another thing also, I have filmed a beginner's guide to turning on a pole lathe with different makers. And so if you are unfamiliar in general about the world of turning, and the sort of woods that the lathes are made from, etc., and you want a good foundation, then I filmed a really good introduction video with another maker. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link below to that video. Highly recommend you go check that video out in order to get a good grounding of the world of turning on a pole lathe. It's a really fascinating field and there's a lot to it, and I can appreciate if you're very new to it, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So like I said, I have filmed with other makers, and the videos that I feel that are applicable to you to get a bit of a better understanding on turning are linked down below in the description. What I'm also going to do is, needless to say, put a link to Ali's website and Instagram, and you can find out more about the plethora of work that he gets up to. I've also, over the years, filmed many tutorials with talented makers like Ali and many others. Now, YouTube, in order to categorize those tutorials into kind of subject orders and whatnot, is not that great. So what I've done, I've created a page on my website where I've broken everything down into subject order on one page, and I've recorded many videos over the years and continue to do so. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a link below to that page on my website, and on there what you can do, you can scroll through and everything's organized into subjects of different crafts projects, outdoors projects, bushcraft projects, etc. And no doubt you're going to see videos on there you probably didn't realize that I've already filmed. So what that page is designed to do is to provide a very extensive resource of the many tutorials that I filmed. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at a few examples of Ali's work in terms of the cups, the end grain cups, so you can get a better idea of the kind of thing that we're going to be pursuing with this video. We're then going to work through all the different sections all the way to a finished product. If there are certain things that have been referenced, maybe like tools and whatnot, just know that I'm going to put links below in the description to that to once again aid the actual meat and bones of this video. A final two things I do need to say before we actually begin. Number one, we are filming in a beautiful outdoor location, but this is a working site. There's a lot of woodland activity, tree surgeon activity, a whole plethora of work going on. So if you do hear the odd vehicle or people or tools or whatever, just know this is a working environment. So we are obviously going to work to minimize that in this video, but if you do hear things in the background background, we do kind of apologize in advance, but this is just the nature of the site that we're working in. Also, the very final thing I will just touch on, something we did touch on when I previously filmed with Ali. Ali, for English, it's not his first language. He's very good, his English is very good, but it's not his first language. Now, the reason why I stress that, for me, it wasn't an issue, but Ali was a little bit conscious that when you're trying to explain, especially technical things in a language that's not your own, sometimes it's not maybe coming across the way that you feel 100% happy with. So Ali was just a little bit conscious of that. Personally, I think he's fantastic when it comes to his English, but he is a little bit conscious of that. So I will just say, out of respect for kind of Ali, that look, if there's the odd thing here and there that he feels maybe he's kind of struggling with or whatever, or maybe not trying to find the exact word to describe something that he's obviously explaining to you, just know in advance that English is not his first language. In the previous video, we did talk a lot about Ali's background, so I highly recommend you go check that out to get a deeper understanding of his journey into what he does today as a full-time instructor and tutor. But just to very briefly touch on, his background is actually as a professional tailor for Savile Row. If you know Savile Row, it's like the world famous street in the world for like suits and formal wear, for royalty, famous business magnates, politicians. I mean, the list of clientele is extensive. So Ali's worked for some of the most famous tailors on there for many, many years. Probably adds to why his work is so detailed and precise, right? I think it's all the skills that have been carried over.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
That is, you know, his background, and he's worked from there over many, many years, put a lot of hours in his spare time to obviously develop his own skill set. And it's only been about a year or 2 years?
2 years nearly.
2 years
yeah.
that he finally made the brave decision to completely give up his work and pursue what he loves and his passion of green woodworking and turning full time. And like I said, he's got his beautiful, beautiful workshop out here in Stevenage. So like I said, I just wanted to kind of mention that. We did talk about that in a lot more detail in a previous video. So if you are curious to learn more about Ali's background, you can see it in that video there. So Ali, with your kind permission, shall we begin?
Sure, yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So guys, we are now going to begin the video where Ali Asadi of Carving and Turning is going to be teaching you how to turn a wooden end grain cup on a pole lathe. So Ali, we have a few examples here. Would you like to talk us through?
Sure. I got a few cups here. Some of them been used. This one's has been a good couple of years now. I use it every day. These are the new ones. These two, I think I oiled it, but these are not oiled. They're fresh. I made a few days ago. They dry nicely. A sycamore in this case. These are nice fresh sycamore, very fresh. This one is with spalted, again sycamore. This one is with handle. This today we're gonna carve, hopefully something like that. Yeah, something like this size, maybe bigger and smaller. I don't like to do repeating myself exactly same thing, so they always come a little bit different, and it's handmade, obviously different. It depends on your mood, your tools and your wood and stuff. They are always a little bit different sizes, different shapes and stuff. In this case is lime. This one I did is very thin and nice, this one as well. I was trying to see if I can make something with lime, but usually I use sycamore. Birch is really good, or if you have cherry is good. Yeah, something like medium dense, not too soft, not too hard. And I find sycamore is really good one. Birch is really best one, really.
So what are your favorite ones then? Is it what, birch, sycamore?
At the moment it's sycamore, yeah. It depends. If I get really nice clean birch, I use that, but I got really nice sycamore these days, so I even used to turn ash. This is ash a few years ago. It's really strong and good. I've done with birch, but birch is usually cracks. As you can see, this is a few cracks at the bottom. It doesn't leak, but birch is not really safe wood for hot drink. This one is sycamore. It's good. Yeah. So today we're gonna do something like that, and I add a little decoration as well for you guys if you want to see it. Yeah.
So what wood are we going to be working with in this video?
Today I got really nice sycamore. I have used one bit already and split it really nicely. So what we're looking for is nice and clean wood and is wide enough to make for your cup. You don't want to put your cup very close to the pit around here. You need to really have a good size to get nice here, so less movement and at the same time it's nice and it's strong and it's straight as well. So this is a good size. As I can get one cup here, one there, one there, one here, one there, and yeah, we're going to use this bit here today, and it's very nice and clean. I quite like it.
So what are some recommendations for people that are watching in terms of diameter and whatnot? What kind of
the bigger the better. A smaller log won't do it really. The bigger the diameter, the better. I prefer that. And obviously, in this case, it's been cut already, so it's long enough for a cup for me. But if you keep it even longer piece, even better, fresher, you can always cut it in your size you want and split it. But what I do, I usually cut this end because it's been cut already. I don't want to have any crack here, and maybe cut a little bit here as well. And I try to go a little bit on the bigger size here, so we have more turning and stuff, so you can see all the techniques and stuff. But yeah, bigger the better. And
are you working with really green wood or?
Very green wood, yeah, greener the better. If you keep it for a while, obviously get a bit spalted and little mellow, which is even perfect. But greener the better, because the end grain is really tough on your hook and your arm. So fresh green is better if you want to turn.
Final question before we get kind of split in and working. For those that may not be familiar, why is it called an end grain cup?
The grain is going this way, and this is the end of the grain, I'm guessing, an end of the grain. So it's going that way. We usually take the bowl from that shape, that size. But on the cup, we're going that way. And it's really, really strong when you're going this way, actually, because all these fibers, they're holding like that way together. So you can go very thin on the cup, and it's strong enough. At the bottom is the same thing, so you can just leave it. Good centimeter I usually leave at the bottom, and it won't leak or anything, and it still is tough. And I'm guessing it's because the grain we're cutting the grain that way, called end grain. Okay, so in this case we're gonna use like that way. That's the end. The grain is going this way. We make a cup like in that way. Obviously, you can't do a cup like this. It's gonna be. It won't hold it anything anyway. So this way it goes like literally. That's gonna be your cup from that size and that way. And I trim this part, so I don't want to have a crack or anything here. I use from there to here. Usually like 5 centimeters, 5 inches is great. In this case, I'm gonna use 3.5 diameter, maybe 4, to see better the inside, for the reason for cutting and tool how it works here, so I can show you better. Usually I go with smaller than this. So that's a sample. In this case it's a bit cherry. So we're gonna turn outside, and we're gonna leave this bit there. We're gonna cut this bit later, and we're gonna turn all this till right there. Then we're gonna snap this core, and we carve that bit. If you can get a clean and nice core, you're good to go. And this is the sample. Usually I cut this in the middle so you can see how thin you can go, very flexible. And I leave that much at the bottom, not more than that, it will crack. So yeah, bit less, so yeah, bit less maybe even, but yeah, that's a good size to leave. Yeah. Okay. I have a really lovely sycamore, thanks to Ben Hodge here. He's a tree surgeon. He always gives me really lovely wood. And this one, it's been cut down I think it's like 3-4 weeks ago. I've been using this for making cups. It's lovely to turn. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a cup blank first. For 4 inches width, this is about, it's gonna be like 5 inches long. It's a bit bigger than my normal cup, but I want to show you more like how to turn it, how the technique and stuff. So in here I got like 2 cups I can get from this. If I want to make it with the handle, I use different part, but in this case, so I'm trying to avoid this bit in the center, that bit there. So I'm more like here, this area, and it's really nice and straight piece of wood. So hopefully I will get nice cup from this bit. And I keep the other side, which is here, for another cup. So that's my cup blank. And I will split this in half with my froe. Then I axe out the rest. You ready?
Let's go for it.
There you go. That's a good sign. Really nice and straight and fresh. Little bit this bolting going there because I kept in the bag, but it's lovely. So I'm gonna use this bit, and the rest we can do it with axe. I can still use a froe for get rid of the corners. Okay, I can do the rest with axe. That's kind of rough shape. It's quite long now. I will cut from here and there, then I axe out. Okay, Zed, what I did here, I cut at the bottom a little bit more and a bit more top here as well, because if there is a crack or something, you know, you don't want to, you want to avoid all these things, and you got really nice and clean bit, so you are sure there is nothing happening there, then it's good to go. Then I mark it again, so I'm gonna axe out, use the axe and axe out, make a cup blank.
So off camera, you basically just sawed
On the top,
just the top bit
and the bottom.
tiny bit off.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And this is like good size for a cup. I'm gonna make it bit bigger than the normal I do, because I want to show mostly how we turn inside in the camera so people can see it, what's happening, and outside as well. So it's a little bit on the bigger size, but it's good. We can play around. If something happens or mistake or something, we can sort it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to axe out. First thing, I'm going to get it off the corners. So this bit is going to be top of my cup, and this is going to be the bottom. So I will get it off the corners first. You want to make it as clean as possible, so when you start turning, it's going to be easy to turn. Now, as you can see, this bit is the size I want, but there is lots of here. So I will make it nice and straight all the way through.
And what axe are you using?
This is Robin Wood normal axe. Okay. I go nice and straight here. I suggest for first few cups use very straight wood. Don't go for knots and stuff and different grains moving and stuff. So go for a straight nice wood. Then after that, if you're okay, you can always add some knots and different characters and all that. So something like this shape. What I usually do, if I make like 10 cups or more, I get to this stage, keep it in the bag, and gets a little bit more spalted. Adds a little bit of, you know, different color on top here and the body. Then I can start turning. I keep it for a good couple of weeks in the bag. Winter time I can keep it longer, and I know how many cups I got, so I go from there. But this is just rough shape. I make it nice and smooth. I don't do the shape I want now, because I want to keep this bit as wide as here, because when you drill it and you put the mandrel, when you find the center, usually it's not exactly like in the middle, so it can move. Then I can adjust that bit and carve the rest, axe out the rest. But let's axe out this top bit nice and clean first. We just tidy up really to make sure when I'm turning it's easy to turn.
So you're axing up until the line?
Yeah. I'm just cleaning up. You can start turning like that if you want to, but the cleaner the better for your tools. Especially if you're a beginner, you don't want to have too many catches and stuff, so cleaner the blank is better. Then now I'm looking more like that angle, and I'm looking see which part I need to do a bit more axing. In this case there's more here, a bit more there, and if you are really good with axing, I have seen some people even leave the axe mark the outside of the cup. Nice and clean axing. You can do that, but in this case we're gonna turn, because more things here is how to turn really. You don't need to leave the axe facets and all that on the outside of the cup. Here we're gonna just turn, but you can play around. Yeah, something like that, nice and round. What we're gonna do, we're gonna drill here, we're gonna put the mandrel in, then we're gonna find the center, then I can axe out a bit more here if I want to or not. Next thing is I'm gonna drill in, make a hole there for my mandrel, and this is my setup. I find this in the I think it was charity shop or something years ago, and I'm using this, and I sharpened it. It wasn't sharp and clean. I sharpened it. It's nice and sharp and clean. I use this, and this is a good size mandrel for that. I turn this, it's a piece of ash, and yeah, that's the things I usually use for my.
And you could use an electric drill.
Of course you can use that, but the key thing is here, you want this hole to be as straight as possible from that angle and from this angle. And the good things with this one is you can just go in, you can see from this angle, then you can come back here and from that angle see if it's nice and straight. I need to come down just a bit, then yeah, just go in.
And how far in are you going?
This is the tape. That's why I put this tape here. Is the same size as this tenon here. Goes in that much.
So the diameter of the hole is the same as the mandrel?
It is a bit smaller.
Why?
Just a bit. That's why I find this one, then I make the mandrel and the tenon just a bit just a bit bigger than that one. So when it goes in, as you can see, it's nice and tight. It's not loose.
Oh, so you want a tiny bit of friction?
Yeah. So it holds it nice and tight, doesn't come out, doesn't move. You have to make sure this is nice and tight. Yeah. Now, then I go to my lathe, I find the center, then I mark it. If I need to axe out, if I have a shape in my mind, I can axe out a bit more and stuff. But this is the bit I go and find the center.
So Ali, we're ready to put the piece on the lathe.
Sure, yeah. What we're gonna do, Zed, we're gonna find the center. In this case, that end goes in first, and bring the puppet closer. Roughly see where it's gonna fit. In here, as you can see, I need to adjust it. So this is the highest point. I need to bring it down a bit, and yeah, that's good, nice and straight. Then I hit with my hammer to make, so that is, this bit is the center at the bottom of the cup. So now I can decide if I want to axe out a bit more, the shape I want at the bottom of the cup, and anything I can decide now with axing. Or if I want to keep it as it is, say massive big cup, I can keep it like that and start turning. But obviously this is a bit too much, I'm going to axe out a bit more. Now I go again to my axe block and start axing, and this is the center of the cup. I mark it and I axe it. Let's go to the axe block. Alright, now I find the center. That's why I left a bit more here. So when you find in the center, sometimes it's not right in the middle because you're drilling a little bit uneven, not straight and all that, so you need a bit extra to play around. But now I find the center, I'm going to mark it again, and this time I'm going to axe a bit more at the bottom, because there is plenty of wood here. I don't want to, you can turn it, it's a good practice if you want to, but it takes ages, so axing is easier. So this is roughly size at the bottom, and that's why I'm axing, because I want to make it like kind of that shape.
So it's basically tapers down.
Tapers down a bit, yeah. And yeah, so again, looking from the top, I'm going right or closer to that mark. Yeah, that's better. So here I'm just starting very gently because I don't want to hit the rim. I'm just going down. bit more here. That's it, something like that.
So Ali, we're talking about obviously the hook tools now.
Yes.
So for this particular project of turning an end grain cup, what tools are you going to be using?
We're going to use tip up and tip down. This is tip down, normal tip down hook. And we're going to use tip up. It's the same things, it's just tip is up. And we're going to use politician one, which is this hook. This one is for inside the cup. We're going to use it. And we're going to use plunge one, this one. You can just do the core, plunge in and stuff. You can use that one.
So these are the 4 primary tools then?
These are the 4. If you have these 4 tools, you can turn a cup. But obviously I got so many different variety of same tools. They are all tip up and tip down, politician, plunge and stuff. I use those, and I use this big tip up and tip down hook. I forged myself, and I use it for outside to do nice cleaning and finishing cuts and stuff. I use this one, but they are all the same. I got this again tip up and tip down, a small hook I use for core to just dig in and open up a bit more and all that. But if you have just tip up these 4 hooks, you are good to go.
Now, in terms of the acquisition of these tools, something we also discussed in a previous video that we filmed, but just so everyone watching that, right here and now, Ali does not make these to sell. So he makes them specifically for his own teaching and for his own use. And there are, however, a couple of outlets, makers that you can procure these from. So what I'm going to do as one of the many resources to accompany this video, below in the description, what I will do is link to a couple of recommended makers that you can source these exact tools from.
Yeah, just to mention this, some of this hook I'm using, as you can see, this is not a real brand new hook. So the brand new one has got more edge. I have used this. This is one of you have this one actually. I've used it last good 4 years, maybe a bit more. So I have used a lot. As you can see, it's really gone and it's really tiny there. So when you're buying the new one, they are a bit wider and nicer, obviously, and sharper than this one. So don't think they has to be like this shape. These are the old ones I'm using. But Yoav makes really nice end grain hooks, and this is not Yoav one. This is, I think I made this one. Again, this is a politician one, and I got few politician one here. They're doing, yeah, they are a bit old, but yeah, normal tip up and tip down hook. And this is again the politician one. Yeah. This one actually, this is a plunge one. It wasn't plunge one original. It was like, this is one of Ben Alford nesting hook. It was really bendy, but I couldn't figure it out how to use for nesting that time. So I just made it that shape. So when I'm doing longer cups, deeper cups, I can use this one. As you can see, I can go in really literally that much. So these are like a plunge hook. It works for me. Yeah.
So Ali, we're all ready to set up the lathe.
Sure.
The piece. Worth mentioning to those watching, so something I referenced at the beginning, I have filmed a very detailed beginner's guide to the lathe, you know, the components of it, etc., with Sharif Adams. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to link to that below in the description. In that video is a complete breakdown of all the components, the kind of mechanics of a lathe, how this kind of lathe works if you're unfamiliar, etc. So all of that will be covered in that beginner's video. Also in the previous video I filmed with Ali, we talked a little bit about it then as well. So in this video, we're going to kind of go straight into obviously attaching the blank to the lathe. So Ali, where would you like to begin?
Okay, it's good to mention as well, this is, it's not for the beginners. It is beginners for end grain cup, this video, this turning, but it's for the people they have turned before. They have turned at least a couple of bowls and stuff, so they know what they're doing. So that's why I don't explain anything. And if you are a really beginner, you haven't done anything like that, I suggest don't start with the cup. Go start with bowls and stuff, very simple project. Get used to how to use hook tools, tip up and tip down and all that. After that, then obviously you can turn few cups, and this is for that kind of people. Yeah. So what we're gonna do, we find the center, we axed out and stuff. What I usually do, I sort out this bottom bit there, means I do this bit first and make sure it's done, this bit nice and clean. So this is gonna be carved later. And when I've done that, then I'm gonna flip this around, then I'm gonna do outside, then I'm gonna hollow inside. I am trying to maximize this flipping around. Just twice, maybe once is enough. Because the more you do that, what happens if this is, in my case, is not very straight, when you're doing this inside and you have a little, very tiny rim here, little bit movement on this puppets, it's going to affect your size of this. So you're trying to stay as straight in one position all the time, so you can get really nice and even rim all the way. So that's why I do this bit outside, then inside in one go. Okay, so I find the center. I know this is my center, it goes there, nice and steady, and I will just...
So you loop that round,
yeah,
the piece?
Yeah, in this case maybe 4 times. I test it, see if it works fine, then I leave it. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. What I do now, I clamp this tool rest to make sure this doesn't move much. And we go from there, yeah. That's it. Now, if you have just one hook, which is tip down or tip up, you can do the whole outside and little bit here with just one hook really. But in this case I got 2 hooks, tip up and tip down. I'm going to use both to work out this bit. If you have just tip up and this is a tip down hook, I'm using tip down hook, you just make sure, just bit by bit, get rid of from those rough bits there. I'm taking slowly here. I know it's only axed out and I don't want to catch too much. So this is the angle of this is the sweet bit. So I'm cutting with this bit there. I'm cutting like that way, which is tip down in this case. I'm going downhill. Because this end grain is really hard to cut. You will cut this way as well, but you try to cut more like that angle, like axing. So it makes cutting much easier. And the smaller cut is the better, because you're cutting end grain, and it's really hard. Now, this, you don't need to make this stubby bit that long and that big. As long as you're good, if you save just with this hole that much, it will do. But I make it a bit longer because I want to put it on the vise and hold it nice and tight. Then I carve this bit with hook knife. I don't want to hold it in my hand and do it. And this is the bit I can just clamp it really tight and just work. So that's why I make a bit longer. And at the same time, I want to show a bit more turning here so you can see what's happening there. Now this was tip down hook. I was using it. Again, I can use tip down hook all the way. So that's it. Now I'm trying to come a bit more straightish now. Every time bit more. And leave like good 3/4 month here, even half an inch sometimes will do, because this end grain is really strong. Now I'm cutting more with this bit there to make it more straight. I'm going more straight. That's it. Now, if you have a hook, which is this bit, in this case, is nice and flat, you can just put the hook there, nice and steady, and start. I want to go in just a bit. I don't want to make it completely straight. Just go in just a bit, just in case if it moves. So this bit is going to sit on the table, not that bit in the middle. So I just go in a bit more to make it just a bit concave. That's it. That will do for now. I'm happy with this part. This is my finished bottom of the cup. I'm gonna flip this around. I'm gonna do outside, then we will hollow inside. So let's take this out. Okay, let's just change this. to here. Good. We're good to go, Zed. Okay, this time I come a bit closer. The tool rest was here, now I can come a bit closer. I will get closer even more when we're hollowing inside, but this is good enough here. All right. Now, shape-wise, it always comes differently. Obviously, the ball blank will dictate the shape you want, but I'm going to go very simple. I will turn a bit more here, a bit more there, make it nice and straight. Again, I'm going to use tip down hook. If you can use tip up, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to start from here, bit by bit, come up. You can start right from here, go all the way, but you have to turn all this bit. So it's easier to start from here, turn a bit more, then come up, turn a bit more, and get rid of this, all this axe mark. So tip down. And every time I'm coming up here, I just want to get rid of this axe mark really. I'm not looking for a finishing cut. Finishing cut will come later. And I'm cutting with this part of the hook in kind of that angle there. And I'm pushing this ridge bit by bit. Like that. I'm getting rid of this axe. It still is a bit more here. I will do another turn. There you go. So what you can do here is that with this tip down hook or tip up, you can literally use all this bit to just get rid of this, if you want to, just get rid of this rough shape. This is a kind of scraping really. As long as you hold them nice and steady, you can just scrape it and make it a bit smoother for your next cut. If not, it doesn't really matter. But you can, in this case, you can use it. This is just scraping. Now, I start, because I got a little axe mark here, I want to do a bit more turning in this bit here. I can start again. And this time I'm getting a bit smoother cut. And it's safer to turn because all the axe mark is gone. Yeah. I hold here so you can see. Okay. So again, the back of the hook, this bit, is sitting there as a guide. I'm just pushing that ridge bit by bit all the way down there. So I start. The smaller cut is better, believe me, it's much safer and you get nice finished cut. The deeper cut in this case is not good. You will catch and you don't get nice smooth finish. All the axe mark is gone. Now, if I want to keep this shape, I work on my finishing cut. If not, I turn a bit more. I'm not really happy with the shape. It's quite big, so I will turn a bit more here, so make it a bit more kind of roundish shape. So what I can do here, I can turn that way. So this is tip down hook. I can use this part of the hook this time to go that way. Same angle we were using for doing this bottom of the board, you can use it for here as well. So I'm working here, I want to make it a bit smaller, it's quite big. That was a crack or something, axe mark. When I was axing, I think I axed a bit deeper there. So I need to turn a bit more here. In this case, I turn a bit more to get it off that. Or if you want to, you can go from that way, more like roundish shape, to make this bit thinner and thinner here. At the belly is a bit wider. You can do that. You might end up doing that on this one. See what happens. Okay, bit more, just a bit. Okay. Now, the finish line is gonna be kind of here. That's my finish, that's the rim. And obviously there's a bit bump here. I will sort this out. Then you see what we got. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, that's a good size. I might go a bit thinner at the bottom here. Yeah, then I do some finishing cuts, so that will be nice, reasonable size, and the same time it's quite big, so you can show how to hollow inside. Okay. Now I go to my different hook. I can use tip down and tip up here, it doesn't really matter. I can use this tip up, do nice finishing cut, which in this case I will do it because I don't want to make it too complicated. But I have bigger hook, I use that one for finishing cut, but I can use it here, doesn't matter. So this is tip up hook, and I'm using this bit for cutting. Just sits behind that ridge, and I'm just pushing this ridge bit by bit. That kind of pulsing movement, and getting rid of all this uneven bit. At the same time, I'm looking for the shape I want. If I want to turn a bit more, some bits, I can. And I'm joining all these ridges together for my next cut. It's going to be easier. Now, the more you are under, if this is the core, the more you are under this core, that bit there, you get better smooth finishing cut than here, for example. You want to really go a bit more under the ball. Again, the back of the hook is sitting there, that's your guide, and you got that ridge, very fine ridge, and you're pushing bit by bit. When you can't go more than that, you move your hand, move the tool, and go a bit inside and do a bit more. If you jump over the ridge, this happens, people go faster and they make so many ridges. Don't rush, stay behind the ridge, that's your guide. If you jump, go back and start again and make that ridge. It's very fine, as you can see, it's really, really tiny, but that's the thing you have to do. The tinier the ridge, the better, smoother cut you get. That's why I say using the straight grain wood, it helps. If it's not so straight and knotty and stuff, you don't get really nice finishing cut. It gets a bit fluffy. So try to use nice and straight grain for first few cuts. And after that you can play around if you like.
So Ali, you wanted to compare these two hooks.
Yeah. So obviously this is tip up hook. You can just use this one for finishing cut, which is, you can get even smoother than this and nice and all that. But what I find out, I find the bigger hook, I'm talking about bigger here, you got more metal to connect to the wood. Like, the chisel we use for spindle lathe, making chair legs and stuff, it cuts like a slice, very smooth cut. This is the wider bit here, it does that. You can obviously use just tip up and tip down hook and do that. But in this case, I'm going to use this one so you can see if you have a hook like that, don't be afraid to use it. And both sides is sharp, I can use both sides, tip down or tip up, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to use tip up here and just go one more turn here to make it nice and smooth and see what happens. So I start very gently. As you can see, I hope you can see the difference, but it gets much smoother finish. It works like it really chiseled because it's quite wide and it sits there nicely as well. I got more control. I will do the rough cut with this one as well sometimes. It's not just for this, but it works really nice for me. Double edge hook. And I can always flip around this way, use it as a tip down hook or tip up hook. So if you have a tip up and tip down in one hook, it's great. Use that. I want to turn a bit more here. I'm not very happy with the shape here. I come back to the finishing cut. This is very fine cut. You really need good control. And putting the hook right there, it helps you to have a good control. I'm just cleaning up really all the uneven bits. Yeah, I'm happy with this. Nice and smooth. I will add a couple of decoration burning stuff so you can see how I'm doing it. Then we start hollowing inside. Alright, Zed, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna add a couple of grooves and burn this bit and show how I'm doing it, because people keep asking how do you do that and stuff, so I can show that.
So this is just a decorative
This
thing.
is just a decorative, yeah. It's just, you don't need to do it, but it just adds a little character, especially if it's no spalting, it's very plain wood, it just adds a little bit character to the wood and looks nice. So first thing you're gonna do, when you're happy with the shape and it's smooth and outside, with your tip down hook, you're gonna add a little groove wherever you want to really, it doesn't really matter. If you just hold the hook in one position, you need like kind of that much to the wire to go in. If you want to, you can turn it from a little bit from that angle as well to make it nice. So the place to wire to sit in. That's one there. And I make here another one you can see. As long as you steady and hold the hook in nice in one place. You can play around and add with the decoration with the hook if you want to. But in this case I'm going to use just wire. So yeah, hopefully the wire will sit there nicely and you just burn this bit. Now what you're gonna do, you're gonna hold this.
So what is this?
It's just a piece of wire I twist it together and it's nice and strong. I put the plastic at two ends so you can hold it nice. I used to use guitar string and the thick one, the E one. You can use that, whatever you have really, as long as it burns. So you're gonna hold it and start turning bit by bit.
So you're putting tension on the...
Yeah, I'm just pulling a little bit. Not at the beginning, just at the beginning I'm going to let the wire to find its own place to dig in. When it's there, then I pull it a bit more, then I go a bit faster. Then you see the smoke is coming out. In this case it's coming out. Then you get that black things which is burned, and you can do it here again. So for a start, let the wire digs in, just pop that. There you go, that will do. Then you can just hold a little bit of shavings on top, make it nice and clean.
And what does that do for those
it's
that are
just
not familiar?
burnishing really, and getting rid of those bits at the edge, make it nice and smooth. Sometimes when you burn it, that little dust, black dust, sits on the corner by burning it, so you can just clean those bits. You don't have to, but it just looks a bit cleaner.
It's a really lovely smell, by the way.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. There you go. Now we're going to start hollowing inside the cup. You can use tip up and tip down hook as much as you can for turning a bit more here, but because of the shape of the hook, you just do, just a bit here. You can't go a bit more in. I will turn as much as I can with the tip up and tip down. Then I use the different hooks and stuff. There's a little bit there. I'm going to clean that bit. Then we can start turning. So just make this nice and clean here. Very tiny. Yeah, all gone. That's it. Now we're going to start turning inside and hollowing inside. Again, I'm turning bit by bit because it's end grain. From now on, I'm not going to get much shaving really. It's going to be mostly dust. As you can see, this ridge is the smaller the better. You can cut better and less catching and stuff. You don't want to have really like a ball turning, really massive big cut and turn. So try to minimize this ridge. Thinner the better, and you got much better control. So I go like very close to the mandrel here. I want this bit be nice and strong. I don't want to have a crack. In this case, if you have your mandrel too tight, when this gets a bit thinner, it will crack. So you need to make a little bit extra bit there so it stays there. It stops cracking. If it cracks, it's going to move the whole thing. So I'm going a bit more. This time I'm trying to go a bit more in. The rim is tricky to start because what I'm planning to do to this rim, I want to make it kind of flat this bit and straight. It's not sharp. When you're using it, it won't hurt your lip. You don't want to be really sharp. I want to be nice and flat that bit. And to do that, you need to have a really good control. Hold it there nice and steady. And very small cut. Take your time. Gently. When you got that, then you want to go a bit more in. That's it. Now I know this is my rim. This is the finished bit there. I'm going to start hollowing in a bit more. For going in that way, on the cup side, I'm going to use tip up hook. For doing the core bit, I'm going to use tip down hook. The smaller hook you have, tip up or tip down, doesn't matter, is better for you here. It kind of digs in. The bigger hook is going to be harder to go in. First of all, it's not too much space here, and the second is because of the shape of the hook, it's going to be harder. So a smaller hook, older hook, we have used a lot. Those are really good for digging in. So I'm going in a bit more, and obviously I'm cutting the end grain. Sound is different, and I don't get shaving. It's mostly dust. That's for the cup side. I was using tip up. I can swap my hook to tip down to work a bit more on the core side. I'm kind of starting, when I'm doing the core side, kind of under the core. I can't do here. You're kind of doing under the core and you're pushing bit by bit in. Now in this case, if my hook was a bit smaller, it will be much easier to go in. As you can see, there is not much space. Now if you have a plunge hook, so these two almost done their job, tip up and tip down. I'm going to bring another hook. If you have this hook, which is made by Yohav, as you can see, it's kind of L shape, goes in nicely. You can start using this one here now, but I have this hook as well, which is tip up and tip down hook, bit old hook, small bit there, digs in nicely. I can use that, so I dig in a bit more, then I use that plunge hook. Because this hook is, as you can see, is a bit tiny and small, it digs in nicely. And you always get dust. I can turn around, use this bit for the core side. Again, I'm under the core kind of all the time. The hook is right under the core. It depends obviously on your setup, on your lathe, but this works for me. Some people, they put the, I forgot to tell you, some people put the mandrel at the bottom of the cup, and the cup is here and they just turn this way. So in that case you need obviously different angle, different hook probably, but I always use the mandrel at the top of the cup, not at the bottom. So I go a bit more in. So if you don't have this plunge hook, and if you have hook like that, you can still make a cup. It's not going to be as deep as this one, but it will be decent cup. So you can just use the small tip up and tip down and just go in. Now I'm trying to keep this core at least same size as mandrel. I don't want to make it thinner here. I will turn all this bit till here, then from here at the end I start to make it a bit thinner, the core, to break it. I want to keep this bit as thick as that much, nice and strong. Now I've gone in a bit more, I can go a bit more in, then I use my plunge hook, then politician one. So I changed my angle, I was just working here. Now the good thing with this setup, you can just come really to this corner from that angle, and still with this hook you can just go in. It still is a straight hook, but just a bit small compared to the other one, and I'm just going in. Okay. Now,
so this whole time you've been working on the core part, essentially.
Yeah, the core and cup part as well.
Right.
I'm just doing bit of cup part and core part, but I haven't finished the cup part yet. I'm going to finish that cut with the politician hook. I'm going to go in, then I'm going to come out and cut that. So far I've gone in, I don't know, like halfway through that much. I can go a bit more in to open up a bit more for my next cut. If you don't have even politician one, if you just have tip up and tip down hook, you can still turn the cup. It's not, inside is not going to be as smooth as the politician cut, but it will be cup, you can turn it. So I suggest if you don't have any of those hooks, just tip up and tip down, go for it. It's just the way to do it. It's not a big deal. You're practicing and you're just making a cup. Okay, this hook, it doesn't go any more than that. It's catching here and all that. This is the time I can turn bit more on the cup side with politician one. You can see it. Then I use the plunge hook, that one. The good things with this plunge hook, as you can see, because of this angle, we can go in, and this bit is not on the way. It just goes in all the way till here, which is great. I've used that one too, but I use the politician one to show you how it works. So I'm gonna go in, hold the hook there, and this time the more straight that angle is better for you. I'm gonna start cutting the cup from inside, and I'm gonna come out that way. This is the time you're gonna get little bit of shavings. It's not dust anymore. The more I cut, the more you can see what's happening there. Now, I suggest if you have the politician one, leave this bit thick like that. Practice this cut if you want to get a nice finish, clean cut. So you're holding your hook there, and you're holding this with the tool rest and stuff there, and kind of make yourself, I'm just doing this motion bit by bit, and at the same time this hand's holding this and kind of holding and loosen up to come out. If you hold it in one place, you can't just take it out, but kind of doing this cut, anytime I'm loosening my hand, I'm pulling the hook back. It's kind of rhythm to this hand, that hand, so it's kind of working like this, so I'm coming out. And if I can show it here, so that bit of the hook is cutting, nothing to do with here. You don't need to even sharpen this part really. This is the bit is going to cut. So it's sitting there. I am pushing the hook to the cup, and I'm pulling out the same time. So that bit is cutting and coming out. Then you get nice and finished cut. At the moment it's a bit rough cut, but I will sort it out later. And this is the time you get finished, you get the shavings instead of dust. And obviously you just feel it with the hook, how deep your cut is, how smooth you want to cut. If I push this more in, I get deeper cut. If I just hold it very light, I get lighter cut. So this is just practice. If you have a little bit extra wood here, is good. Just play around until you're happy with the finishing cut. So I leave this thick here. I want this for my finishing at the end, because I don't want to make this very thin here, just in case if I catch it with the hook, it will crack. So I leave this nice and steady here, little bit like 3-4 mil here, maybe 5 mil there. then I go a bit more inside, turn a bit more inside, then I come back and repeat the same things again and again. So this time I think I can go in with my plunge hook. As you can see, so far we haven't used this. So some people say I don't have plunge hook, I can't turn the cup, but not really. You can turn the cup like this size. It's still with the just tip up and tip up, tip down.
So
hook.
could you remind us what this tool is going to do again?
This tool is going to go in this part. This part is going to cut at the bottom of the cup, and this part is going to cut the core side.
Right.
So I'm going to hold the hook in right at the bottom. I can clean a little bit core side. So I'm doing the core side, making this thinner. At the same time it's cleaning, and I'm cutting with literally that bit there on the core side. Then I'm going to use this bit for the bottom of the cup. Again, I'm getting dust because I'm just cutting the end grain. Now, if I change my angle to that way, that means I'm there, I'm making this core very thin. If I do it like that, I don't want to do that. I want to go a bit more straight and keep the core a bit strong at the bottom. I don't want to make it very thin. So I'm working at the bottom of the cup now. I don't know if you can see inside that I'm just cleaning the bottom. I'm not doing anything on the cup side. It's just core side and the bottom, and I'm just going straight in. I can measure it. I am kind of there. I'm kind of there. I need to go a bit more in. Then I can use my politician hook. So having a setup which is you can use your treadle if you are here, it's going to help. So if you just fixed in one place and you can't come here, it's going to be really harder. So having different setup, moving this is going to help you, because sometimes you really need to work like that angle there. And I'm changing my position all the time depending on the place I'm cutting. Okay, measure it again. I'm here, bit more. Other thing you can do, if you have a hook, old hook, tip down hook, you have used a lot, you can always bend it yourself, just bend it here and there, just make this shape so you can just plunge in if you can buy hook like that. But I recommend buy the hook from like people like you have. They are really good at making end grain hooks. They are amazing. This is really old one, but still I love it. It's very good. As you can see, there is just a little bit left over. It's not much, but it still does the job. And believe me, end grain is really tough, but this little hook is just cutting it nicely. In fact, I learned my end grain cup from Yohav years ago. I went to his workshop and he was showing how to turn an end grain cup. So I can feel it now. I've gone in like I am like there, that much there. I can go a bit more in. I need to come like kind of here. Then I start using the other hook. Okay, I use the politician one. I work on the cup side to open up a bit more. I can see better. I got more access. Then I do last finishing cut again if I need it. What I'm doing here is that I'm just going in there. This is a good example of the half a cup. You can see better. I'm just going in there and I'm just coming out like that. As you can see, this is the bit is cutting all the way. It's not even now, but it will be even more cut and stuff. So again, go all the way in, try to stay as straight as possible. Imagine if you stay here like that, it's going to be really hard to see and cut. So you're really coming like really as straight as possible like that. And you push the hook right to the bottom and you start. First key you cut is just getting rough cut, deeper cut. You just hollowing really, getting rid of the material, but the last cut is going to be smoother. And as you can see, I'm getting shavings now. It's not dust anymore. That's the good sign. If you get dust in this cut with this hook, there is something wrong. Something is not working properly. A bit better. Now I check it. I got more material here than there. This is fine here. I'm gonna work a bit more here, there, that bit there. Check it again. Yeah, a bit better. It's still rough, but yeah, the thickness is fine. I'm gonna work a bit more here with the plunge hook. Then I can see what's happening there as well, because I turn a bit more. I can see inside properly. Now this is the time you need to measure it and see how far you need to go in. I need to come here literally that much there. If you leave it thicker than that at the bottom, like that much, it will crack. If you leave that much, it will leak. So, and obviously every wood is different. You need to find the sweet spot. In this case, I will leave that much, like about 6 mil, I'm guessing, something like that, 5 or 6 mil. So I go in and see how much I need to. So I am here, I am there. Another half, 1 centimeter, half or something like that. I turn a bit more, then I measure it again. This is the bit you need to measure it, turn it, measure it, turn it, and see how much you need to turn. So I'm doing the cup at the bottom of the cup, turning. That's why this sound is horrible sound makes. Still, I'm keeping that core like half of this size now, because I want to keep it a bit thick at the bottom. I don't want to make it very thin now. I want that strong connection at the bottom. I got a bit more turning here. Good. Bit more. Okay. Let's measure this again. Yeah, that's good. I will leave that much, because when I'm cleaning at the bottom with the last finishing cut, with the hook, is coming like this angle. I need that little bit extra there to just do this little cleaning at the bottom here to make it nice and smooth there. That's fine now. Now this is the time I can work on my cup side, make it fine cut, cleaner cut, and finishing cut. Then I finish the bottom and the core when I'm happy with the inside of the cup. It's a bit rough, it's not very smooth cut, but I use politician hooks and make those nice and smooth. Okay. You go in all the way. Kind of this back of this hook is right there, touching the bottom of the cup, and you put the hook right at the end, and you just bit by bit you're coming out. So push the hook right in. Now, the other thing I forgot to say, by twisting this, you're gonna find that sweet spot. So you put the hook there, but you don't know which part is going to cut till you twist this bit there. You're going to twist this, then when you find the sweet spot is cutting, then you're going to cut it and pull the hook out. Now that's is cutting now. Again, if you go too fast, you're going to make so many ridges. If you go too slow, you're going to just stay in one bit and you're going to make deeper ridge. So kind of control your hook with the speed and stuff. So make sure if you made a ridge and you jumped over the ridge, just stay there a little bit longer and all that. This comes with the practice with this cut really. You don't see it, you just feel it. You feel how hook is cutting. Is it deep cut? Is it fine cut? And you just feel it by hand. And when I'm reaching this rim there, I'm taking my time very slowly. You can come all the way down, nothing will happen because you're just cutting from inside to coming out. You're not going that way. So you just hold the hook there, take your time gently and make the smoothest cut you can. You can go with me in. All the way out. I am happy with the size of this rim. It's good. And it's nice and smooth inside. Thickness is good. Yeah. I can do a bit last final finish. There's a little bit bump there, just a bit. I'm gonna sort this out from inside. This is my last finishing cut really. I'm just taking my time. That was the bump. I just going this thicker there. Yeah, good. Now I have this bottom bit. I need to sort it out. Basically, this bit. It's not smooth enough, so I need to go from here, go up to the core. Okay. On the core, again with the plunge cut, bit more, make it thinner. This time I go right from kind of in the middle there. Imagine this is the core from inside, from there, and I go in that angle, and at the end I make it very thin, like that much. So I'm kind of in the middle. The hook is under the core, hidden there, less catching. Take your time, make that ridge, then just push that ridge right to the bottom, bit by bit. Now there's a limit on this hook as well. So you can turn a cup that size really, that much. You can't go, this will catch. So I go in, see how much I can go in without catching this rim. If I need it, I can use other hook. If not, okay. Checking, yeah, good. Now I'm gonna clean the bottom. You can use tip up hook for doing that, which is exactly the same tip up hook I was using, but in this case I have altered this hook a little bit here. I'm going to cut a bit more core at the bottom with this bit, and as you can see I've gone in like kind of that way to make sure this is going to catch the core at the bottom, and I'm going to clean the bottom of the cup with this bit there. It's just a tip up hook, you just hold it there, nice at the bottom of the cup. Literally, if I show here, it's gonna be like that. I'm there, and I'm gonna do this motion. Then I'm gonna come to the core. I'm gonna cut the core with this bit there. So just cleaning this and coming up like that. This is the motion I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna go in, nice there. In this case, it fits okay. It doesn't catch the rim. The core is thin enough to just go in and just hold it there. Now I'm cutting the core. Now you can cut the core with the plunge one and go bit by bit like in, but I can just go under the core and cut with this bit there and make that core very thin. In this case, I'm doing that thing. Now, test it. Is it thin enough? There is a little bit there still, it's strong. I will cut a bit more. This will break, but I want to make it very thin. End grain is amazing. It holds really nice and tight. Even just a little bit of wood. It's going to start getting a little wobbly now. And that's a good sign for you to say, yeah, this is the time I can snap that core. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's it. I'm gonna take it out and see if we can snap that. The thinner the core is better. You can snap it easily and less carving at the bottom. I don't know if you can see anything.
Yep, just about.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing you shouldn't do is twisting. You don't want to pull the fibers by twisting it. You're just gonna go left and right and snap like that.
One second.
I could have gone a bit thinner than this, to be honest, but it does the job.
Perfect.
And as you can see here, with the hook, I went kind of under the core and I cut this bit more here. You could have done with the plunge hook, just come from here and make this very thin, but you can do that as well from tip up hook and go under the core and push it up and cut bit by. That's why I make this thin here. Yeah, yeah, that's the finish project. It's smooth inside and smooth the bottom. That's what you want. Now, I'm going to carve the inside bit first, then carve this bit later. And the reason I left it a little bit longer here, I can clamp this here.
So for those watching, you'd advise them clamping it in?
It is, yeah, because if you hold in one hand and do with the other hand, it's gonna, it's not easy. You're cutting the end grain, and it's good to clamp it. If you don't have this bottom bit, you can always clamp the whole things and hold it with something. Or you can hold it between your legs and do that. As long as it's steady and doesn't move, you're good to go. It's nice and steady there, and I got two hands free to cut that end grain bit. What I do first, I put a piece of leather inside, or a piece of cardboard, whatever you have. So when I'm carving that end grain, sometimes it just goes and hits the wall of the cup in this case, if I hit it, I'm going to hit the piece of leather. It's not going to damage my cup. I want to keep that inside nice and clean. Then I just hold.
Just before you do that, what spoon knife are you
This
using?
is Nick Westermann's spoon knife. It works here really good because of this curve, and I use that bit there for cutting, really. Yeah. So I hold steady, my hand is there, holds everything tight, and because it's end grain, I cut, you know, bit by bit. Don't rush. This is really tough end grain. So, and I'm holding, you know, when it finished, it stays there. I don't want to hit the wall again. I know a piece of leather is there, but it's still, I want to have a good control. This is nice and fresh sycamore, but it's tough one. It's not very soft. If you twist the core when you're cutting, you will see you don't get nice smooth cut. It's fibery. That means you have twisted this core, and this core is twisted there. Then you will get leak. So make sure you're not twisting it. Just move it left and right, and just snap that. Because there is not much at the bottom. If you twist it, that fiber is going to move, and it's going to be weak point for you. I don't want to leave any bump at the bottom. I want to make it nice and smooth, this core bit. So I've done that side. I can go a bit more here and check it. This side is good, a bit more on this side. Usually when you are a beginner on the cup turning, getting the core right at the bottom is the hardest bit. So take your time. I suggest go with the bigger cup so you have more opening. So when you doing inside, you have more space to use your hook. Don't start with very tiny small cup. Go with the bigger cup. It helps see the inside and stuff. There you go, nice and clean. One bit there. That's it. Now I get rid of the shavings and have a final check. Yeah, it's nice and clean at the bottom, and I try to keep this nice and clean as well, no cut or anything. Now I'm going to cut this bit. I need to go and get my silky saw and cut that bit, then carve the rest. Now I got my silky saw, very fine silky. In this case I've used a lot. Some of the tooth is missing, like mine really, but yeah, it's gonna do the job. I go as close as possible, but I don't want to catch the bottom of the cup with the saw, so just leave 2-3 mils at the bottom and just straight. Take your time at the end, very gentle cut. That's it. Then I'm gonna carve this bit, and you have cup. I usually sit somewhere comfortable, and because it's end grain, it's a bit tough, but take your time bit by bit. I don't want to see any tool marks popping up from that angle. I don't mind having seeing the tool marks, but I want to make this nice and flat, goes in a bit more. So make sure this bit is not touching the plate table. It's nice and flat there. I suggest when you're turning the cup, a couple of things you shouldn't do it. Don't try to add decoration at the bottom, go in. It's going to affect your judgment when you're doing inside. Leave it as flat as possible first for your cup. Then if you want to do something else, it's a different story. But make sure it's nice and flat. And in this case is like that. Nothing there, and it sits on the table nice and flat like that.
So Ali, just two last things to discuss before we wrap up the video. Number one, drying. So what is your process at this stage for drying?
I just leave it in room temperature in my little workshop at home, and because it's very thin, it's end grain, it dries in maximum 2 weeks, I say. Sometimes in this weather, maybe even 1 week, it will dry nicely, as long as you make sure the air goes everywhere. You don't want to put it like that all the time, and this bit gets a bit moldy because it's wet. So make sure the air goes around it, inside and outside, and every now and then go and check it, see if it's getting lighter and stuff. When it's dried completely, then you oil it. These days I use 3-text oil, and oil it a couple of times, and I oil it and leave it for good 1 week. Then I have a lighter oil on top, and then another 1 week. Then I keep it like 2-3 weeks, sometimes more, to cure nicely. Then I test it with boiled water and make sure it doesn't crack. These days doesn't crack much. The crack is happening usually, first of all, if you have a crack in the wood, it will appear lately. And the second, this bit is very thick at the bottom, it will crack outside or maybe inside. Or if it's very thick here, it will crack, because when you're putting the hot water, it doesn't expand, it doesn't move, so it wants to open up somehow, that will crack. But these days it doesn't happen that, to be honest. It just usually works fine. And if it leaks, it's no crack. If it leaks, that means you have gone very thin here and it leaks. So you can apply a couple of more oils at the bottom and make sure it doesn't leak anymore. But yeah, or if it leaks and you don't want to apply oil, just one is enough for you, or you don't like the smell of the oil or whatever, you can put some semi-skimmed milk, boiled one, in it, and leave it for 1 hour or half an hour, so those proteins from the milk goes into the fibers and keep those leaks and stuff, seals those leaks really, and then just use it again and wash it and use it again. Hopefully it will work out. But I just go with 3-text oil a couple of times and it works fine for me.
One thing I realised, just to kind of touch on briefly before we finish up, is obviously you're going to be drinking out of this, and some people watching may have a question about both cold and hot liquids respectively.
Yeah.
So with a couple of this that you've kind of turned, what is your kind of advice regarding that, both with cold and hot liquids?
If it passes with boiled water, it will be fine with cold water as well. It doesn't matter, any drink, any cold. But the main thing is it needs to pass with the, if it's for hot drink, it needs to pass with boiled water. If it's done, then you can use it for, I wouldn't use with alcohol and mix with water and tea, same cup, because it gets a bit different, especially with wine, it gets different smell. But for tea and cold drink, anything, you can use it as long as it's fine with hot drink.
And with the porter, because I know some people recommend not putting boiled water in per se. but just kind of just a little bit below that. And maybe testing it out with just a little bit first.
Yeah, well, I do that and I give it to people, but it might crack. You never know. This is wood, you know, and if it does that, well, I can always make another one. But yeah, if it's very, very cold outside and you have boiled water, just put a little bit boiled water, temper it before you fill it up. Just temper it, then use it. If not, these days I don't do it really in my cup. I just use it straight. Doesn't matter the weather, but it needs to pass that test a couple of times. Then it's good to go. And if you don't like linseed oil or Tritex oil, that smell and stuff, you can use Asadi ceramic finish, which is a bit like a liquid. They are a bit expensive. Again, you have in this country, he sells. You can use that and it still works fine.
So there you have it, my friends. That is a wrap for this video. Ali, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, is it? Yeah.
Man, the pleasure was all mine. No matter how many times I film these sorts of videos, it's always such an insightful experience. I learned so much. It's actually the first time I've seen this entire process, you know, for turning a cup, kind of in this style. And yeah, it was really, really kind of insightful how you approached it. So a few things to kind of touch on, a few things that we also covered at the beginning of this video. As you can see, this is quite a long video. There was obviously so much to cover. As you've seen yourself, we started from literally a raw piece of wood all the way to a beautiful finished product. A reminder that we've broken it all down into different chapters. If you look at the description below this video, the chapters are also broken down there. And as I mentioned, YouTube has a cool feature. If you click on the times on the left-hand side, the video will jump straight to that section. Also, I did mention that I filmed a video prior to this one where Ali showed step-by-step how to turn a plate, which is another very insightful video. What I'm going to do is put a link down to that in the description. Also, as I've referenced during this video, I have filmed a detailed tutorial, which is a beginner's guide to turning on a lathe, which once again covers things like the lathe itself, the tools, woods, all of that. So it gives you a really good foundation into the world of turning on a pole lathe. What I'm going to do, that video as well as others that I feel that are relevant to this particular one that you're watching now, I'll put down below in the description. As Ali also mentioned, it's highly recommended that you've turned at least 1 or 2 bowls, which is kind of like the 101 item to kind of turn. What I'm going to do, I've also filmed tutorials on that with other makers, and I put links down below to that in the description. And so really, between all of that, you should be covered from the absolute beginner foundation to the lathe and everything else, to the turning of your first bowl, and then obviously now moving on to the cup. We touched on the tools. A reminder that at this present moment in time, Ali is not making these to sell. He just makes them for himself to use and also for his students. That being said, what I'm going to do, put links below to a couple of makers that you can source the tools from. One is Yoav Al-Kayam, which ironically I've also filmed videos with on turning on my channel. And what I'm going to do, as well as him, I'm going to put a link to another maker as well. And between those, you can kind of take your pick and approach them, and then obviously procure your tools for turning an item like this, as well as items in general. As I've also mentioned, I'm going to put a link below to Ali's Instagram and website. On the website, you can find out about the plethora of work that he gets up to. This is a beautiful location that he teaches from. But as well as teaching here in Stevenage, which is just a little bit of a distance, about an hour from London, as well as here, he does teach around the country and potentially even abroad. To find out about those teaching opportunities and coming to learn from Ali in person, which I highly recommend you do, I would highly recommend you follow him on Instagram and also check out the workshop listings on his website. His Instagram is very active, and from there you can see the myriad of things that he's getting up to. But Ali also demonstrates throughout the country as well. At this present moment in time where we're filming, we're in summer, and so he's got a full roster of doing demonstrations and tutorials and workshops and stuff around the country. So on his website and Instagram, you can see everything that he's getting up to. On his Instagram, what I would say, it will mean the world to me if you gain any value from this video whatsoever, to give him a follow on Instagram and let him know that I kind of sent you over. It will help support the work of someone who's a full-time craftsman, and his present economy, which is very difficult. You know, we all got our challenges. Any kind of support will be amazing. So following him on Instagram costs you nothing whatsoever, and it helps support Ali, the work that he does, as well as obviously keeping up to date with the things that he's got going on all year round. So even in the depths of winter, right, he's got stuff going on, man. He's a proper trooper, Ali. So even in the depths of winter, if you want to learn, he's all ready to kind of teach you. So one of the two questions I've got for you, Ali, before we kind of wrap up is, number one, if people are interested in learning from you in person, as I've already mentioned, you've got obviously dates up on your website about when you're kind of teaching, but can people hit you up privately to kind of arrange something a bit more bespoke?
Yeah, my phone is there. They can send me a message or whatever. You keep in touch. Yeah, I can arrange weekend or during the week. If they are a bit more advanced, one-to-one is perfect. And I always got lunch ready, fire ready, tea and coffee.
Yeah. One reason you come down for a lunch, just Ali's lunch. Him and his wife are mean cooks. Honestly, they're amazing and incredibly hospitable. Anyone who spent time with Ali and his wife would kind of attest to that. In terms of the kind of, I guess, a final question to kind of wrap up on is, and once again, something we have touched on, but would your recommendation then be for people to obviously start off with the bowl?
Yes,
101, and then move on to the other items in kind of the level of sophistication.
Yeah, the bowl is the first thing. If you're into turning, do that. And the cup is really hard because it's literally that much space you have for hook to go in, and you're cutting end grain, and you see the dust, and it's not really nice things. Really, you don't see shavings. You don't know. It's really tough. First few cup is gonna be really tough. I have seen some people, they just give up in first cup and say, this is not for me. They turn lovely bowl and stuff, but cup is, they just say, okay. So it's really tough to do. So definitely few bowls, and I recommend go with someone, he teaches you how to turn a cup, really. Because if you don't have someone with lots of experience, you're gonna have a really tough time to just go in and dig in and cut and get this smooth cut. So go for a workshop and learn how to do it. Then go for it. Practice and do more. And after like 50 cups, then you will see, oh, this is nice and smooth. You're happy with that and stuff. Yeah.
I realise there's one thing actually to touch on before we actually really do wrap up is something I mentioned in most of my videos that I do with makers like Ali and many others, is as you're learning a particular item to make, be it in this instance a cup, or it could be any of the other things that I cover on my channel, or just in general, I always stress the importance that if you're able to source someone's work from makers like Ali and many others, always do that. I stress this in every video that I mention this topic in, and that is, obviously videos are fantastic. It's a great aid for learning, and obviously it's a very convenient way of learning. That being said, nothing beats doing it in person,
real
right?
Things, yeah.
The real things, and especially in relation to craft, the importance of sourcing crafts from other makers and buying craft from other makers. Not only are you supporting that craftsperson, but what you're doing is this, by being able to hold something physical in your hand, there is a huge, I would say, day and night difference between seeing it on photo or video and actually holding it in your hand. I mean, is that something that you know?
Yeah, definitely. I got so many products from different makers. That's why I learn, really. I have a look and see, and every time I see, oh, that's why he did that, and this is his mistake or not, this is his good point. All these things, it helps you, definitely. And obviously you're using a lot. I got cup from Jared is nearly 8 years now. I use every day and I love it. So it's good things. You're not wasting your money really. First of all, you're supporting someone and you got a product you're using every day, and obviously you're learning a lot from just watching it and feeling it and have a sample, measuring it and all that kind of things. So definitely, yeah, buy a cup from me or whenever.
Yeah. Oh, this is, but he did touch on something.
Buy from you, I haven't.
Buy from Ali. His work is very good. There's one thing you did touch on there, which is very important, and it sounds a bit daft when you say it, right, because it's obvious, but it's quite an important thing. Not, you know, for example, with the cup, not only by having one do you able to feel it and get a kind of tactile sense of kind of like the shape and all the nuances of it, but by actually owning a piece of craft like a cup or spoon or whatever, is using it. And there's something I learned many years ago from certain makers who stressed it to me, that by using the item, you also get to experience it in real time. So for example, even like the rim, you don't think much of it, but when you start using it, when I've used certain cups,
exactly, yeah.
Sometimes, I remember there was one cup I used, which I didn't buy, it was just from another maker. And the rim, I found it kind of digging into my mouth a little bit. And it wasn't a pleasant experience. And what I had to do was I had to change like the way I held the cup a little bit, which wasn't comfortable. And I learned a lot from that. And there was another cookser I remember I drank from another maker. And like the rim was, and obviously from a design aesthetic, it looked beautiful because it was really tapered in, right? But when I was drinking it, it kept spilling. It kept spilling down the thing. And I thought, why is my tea spilling down my top? And when I looked at the cookser was beautiful, but because of the rim was so tapered in, it was like when you think about it, it wasn't comfortable to use. So when the liquid is going over it, it's actually going over the rim, and it was dripping down. So it was kind of a weird thing, and it's these things you don't really think about. And once again, it's a bit of an obvious thing to say that you're using the item, right? But it's like with anything, spoons, cups, bowls, whatever, any item you could think of, even other disciplines like leatherwork or tools or whatever, things can look great, and holding them in the flesh will obviously give you a perception of it. But when you actually start using something, all of a sudden you start to realise that, oh, hang on a second, there's a lot of subtleties here that you don't think about.
That's right, yeah, exactly.
Is there anything you want to say before we?
No, it's fine. I really enjoy having you here, Zed, honestly.
No, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here, Ali. It's
very kind.
Ali, once again, if ever you get the opportunity to be in the company of Ali, be it as a student or just in general, honestly, he's such a wonderful person to be around.
Thank you.
I do want to wrap up by saying, and I mean this every time I say it, I do thank you for allowing me into your space, and to also allow me to document your process so that it may help others.
Very kind of you. Thanks.
So thank you so much on behalf of everyone.
Thank you.
So there you go, guys. That is a wrap for this video. As I mentioned, links to everything, or which there are many things. All of that is down below in the description. And like I said, if you gain any value from this video whatsoever, give Ali a follow on Instagram. And I think I did mention this at the beginning. I've got a page on my website that contains all of my tutorials, including the ones I've done with Ali, in subject order. And it's a fantastic way of seeing everything in one place on my channel. So I really appreciate you watching all the way up until the end. I really do hope you enjoy it. Ali, a sincere thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Once again, thank you so much. Guys, really do appreciate you watching it. Look forward to seeing you on another installment of a Zed Outdoors video. Until then, I hope whatever you're doing, you have a blessed day, a blessed week ahead. From Ali Asadi and myself, Zed Outdoors, peace out.
Cheers.